Welcome back, everybody, to Auto Auction Rehabs. And today we're working on this. I can't see what I'm pointing at, but maybe you guys can see it. We're working on the C10 today. I've been working on this without you guys for a bit. Got a little bit done. The engine is in, and I've got a bunch of stuff mocked up. And that's a great way to go, because as you're going along, you find out that there's things that you need that you don't have. So let's go over a few things. After I got it dropped in, one of the first things I did was put the water pump on and then put the fuel pump on. And the water pump was supposed to be specific for this year. However, for the power steering pump, this piece here should have allowed the bolt to go through, because the bracket on the back has a nut welded to the bracket, so that you just put the bolt all the way through and screw it into the back there. Well, I think that's probably a difference between the AC and the non-AC. I'm not sure, but this is from an AC vehicle. This bolt that's in here just to hold it up right now only goes in an inch, and that's just holding it in place. What I did find is a set of brackets for this pump, for this engine, that should allow me to utilize this pump without having to spend a fortune on redoing all of this. So we'll see. Now, this is what was stock on the engine that I took out, as well as this. And these are the two brackets that hold the alternator on, and this is the old belt. I'm, yes, getting a new belt, because this one has seen better days. It's not terrible, but it is cracked all along here. Yeah, you might be able to see that. It's time for a new one. When I went to O'Reilly's, they said, look, dude, there's 4 different applications here, so you don't have to be running around. Why don't you just bring in the old one since you have it, and we'll match it up. And I said, you know what, that's probably a better idea. Now then, as far as the bracketry for the alternator, long time ago, as I was ordering parts for stuff, knowing that I'd be eventually doing this, I ordered this really fancy alternator bracket kit. Now, it's a little bit of chrome, and since most everything under the hood is black, a little bit of chrome wouldn't hurt, right? That's what I'm thinking. The only difference is going to be that these bolts here, one is for the bracket to hold the water lines for the heater core, to keep them from going into stuff. And the other one is for a ground. Well, you know what? Of course, we can put a ground, down here somewhere. The battery ground can go pretty much anywhere, and I think it would be better off on the frame. So I might mock this up and see how it looks over here. And honestly, with all this black going on, I think that a little bit of chrome will make it look real nice. It'll set it off real nice. Now, what I did without you guys, you're gonna laugh, I slipped these headers in and put 2 bolts in, because now I'm ready to put the gaskets in there and tighten everything up. So I basically just mocked them up. Now, I did headers on my Camaro on the ground with no lift, and I was 30 years younger, and I don't remember it being difficult. Anyway, you would think that the driver's side would be the least difficult. There's hardly anything in the way. Well, what I decided to do was to get the vehicle up on the lift, get underneath, and then raise the header from underneath, which is pretty much what you have to do because I already put the oil filter on. Anyway, I raised it up from underneath and then tried to reach up and put the back bolt in just to hold it while I lowered it down and put the front bolt in. You would think that would have been the easiest part of all this. Well, no. It probably took me 10 minutes of messing around. I finally got one bolt in on the back just to hold it from falling out when I lowered it. And then I put the front bolt in. That took me about 10 minutes. This side, which I thought would have been more difficult because we have the starter in the way, we have some interesting routing of brake lines. I mean, yes, I did put the brake lines in. I did buy the pre-bent brake lines, and the brake line with the stock manifold and pipe, they were actually touching. So I said, oh, well, that's no good. Anyway, as I'm mocking this up, I'm thinking that this brake line down here, I'll bring you guys down there to see it. We'll go underneath in a minute and take a look. But anyway, the brake line comes out from the frame about 1.5 inches or so, I think. And it's darn close to the header. So once I have the headers bolted up, then we can see whether or not I have to go under there and rebend that brake line. I do have a tool to do that, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. It's just that I'm probably not going to take the header off to do it, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so what's left to do on the top end? Well, water. Okay, we have the fitting here that goes here for the heater hose. This is where the other heater hose goes. Once the headers are in, I need to put the plugs in and put the wires back on. As you can see, I think on the last video I showed you guys the list. Well, I had to open up my box a little bit because I have to have a shopping list now as I'm going along. I've ordered the turn downs for the 2.5-inch pipe. I wanted to go with 3-inch pipe, but that was going to be a bit of a stretch with the headers that I have. So I'll go with 2.5. And when we get underneath, I'll show you. It's going to be a fairly short run on exhaust pipe. The transmission I got from Jags, and I have issues with this transmission, but and we'll go over that when I get underneath there and show you. Anyhow, they assured me that there was no problems when I called them after it was delivered. But anyway, this transmission is designed for race application. It does not have a kickdown, and there is no speedometer gear. And I don't particularly want a speedometer because I'm going to eventually, once I tear this thing back down for paint, when I put it back together, it's going to get a digital dash. I do need the new alternator belt, like I showed you before. Well, let's look at the list. Oil, number 1. Yep, 5 quarts of oil in there. 1 quart in the filter, and the rest of the container went into the oil pan. Now, the dipstick that they gave me still shows a quart high at 5 quarts. And I did fill the filter and let it settle, topped off the filter, let it settle, topped it off again, let it settle, and I did that over many hours. So I would think that the filter's full. But yet when I put the rest of the oil out of the 5 quart container of Lucas break-in oil into the engine, the dipstick shows a quart over full. But all of the documentation that comes with the engine says 5 quarts. And they have a tag attached to the carburetor so that when you're putting the linkage on, you've got to see it. It says 5 quarts. So it's got 5 quarts total. Now, we've put the fuel pump in. We don't have the filter on yet because basically what I have to do, I think, is to cut this hose somewhere and route the line up to the carburetor. Now the inlet for the carburetor is on this side over here, not on this side. So it's going to get a rubber line over this way with a filter in the middle. A plastic filter, because I'd like to see what's going on, and then after break-in I will probably put a metal filter. Never ever ever use gas filters. That's why you see hot rods in junkyards that have been totally burned. Those glass filters vibrate on stuff, break, fuel goes on the hot manifold, and there you go, fire. That's your tech tip for today. All right, so fuel pump. Everything's pretty much done except for routing this line properly. And I'm not going to touch this until I put the carburetor back on. Water pump. Yep, that's all on there. It's all on there. This was the old pulley. I'm using all the same pulleys. Looks like I need to touch this one up with some paint. I think I didn't paint that because it had the part number on it. I was thinking of getting a new one, but you know what? This one is in perfect shape, so I'll just rebuild it. This looks a little dirty because what I did before I put the water pump on, there was a little bit of surface rust under the stickers that were there, because this thing's been sitting in my garage for about 1.5 years, unfortunately. And so I cleaned it, and then I haven't just cleaned all the residue off here yet. As you can see, this is not tight yet. Anyway, going down the list, water pump, yep, done. Power steering pump. I have not taken the power steering pump off at all. I do know, because I've had to clean it all up in here, that these lines leak. So I bought new lines, and let's see, where did I get these from? I don't remember where I ordered these from. Yeah, one of the online stores. But I've taken them out of the package. I've mocked them up, you know, and I do believe those are the correct ones. So at the point where I've got the new brackets for the power steering pump, then I'll come back, put new power steering hoses in. Now, I wasn't even considering videos when I rebuilt entirely the front end. It's got all new parts except for the upper and lower A-arms. Everything else is new, and it's got disc brakes. It is in bad need of an alignment, but I think we'll be doing a home alignment because the shops around here, they say, oh no, we can't touch something that old. Well, okay. I'll work on that myself. So we'll slip a gasket in here, tighten this up, and then go underneath and see what needs to be done. Okay, that was my battery box. So I have a new core support and a battery box that just fell off because I only had it just mocked up there and I just stepped on the core support. New core support battery box. Let's see what else we got over here. This is the old fan shroud, and the radiator that was in the truck was not the right one for the truck. It was quite a bit taller. This one I mocked up against the radiator that I bought that's supposed to be a direct replacement, and it indeed does fit on the radiator, and we'll have to see how it does once everything's in the truck. You can see here they had to do some fancy work to get the fan shroud to bolt down, and I don't even remember where they bolted it down to. Anyway, not a big deal. This is the engine that's probably going to be the first rebuild. This is the engine that came out of the truck. They're both the same casting number. This one was locked up. That one was running when I took it out. So I'm thinking this one we're going to do a shop build with. I'm going to take it to the machine shop and have them, I don't know, I may have them do the bottom end, and I've got all kinds of bolt-on parts over here underneath my cold snack fridge. I don't know. We'll think about that. You guys let me know what you want to see. If you want to see a shop build on that engine for the Track Vet, then let me know. All right, well, let's go up and we'll look at some stuff underneath. Oh yeah, I wanted to point out as well, I've always had that wildfire lift banner, and I really appreciate that. And I got in touch with Holly to see if they'd help me out with some parts for the muscle truck and the super truck for the tow rig. And they said, well, you're still kind of new at this. You don't have the following. Our budget is expended. Get back with us when you become more popular. Okay, I'm not doing this for popularity. I'm doing this for fun. I'm not driven by YouTube. YouTube follows me. So, but anyway, I said, hey, how about a banner so my shop just doesn't look so bare? So yeah, we can do that. All right, cool. So they sent me a banner, and yes, I really do appreciate it. I would love to put up a couple of more different banners. And then I have the banner for the business that I started in Thailand, our online autos and parts. And that was to allow me to be able to buy cars at auction. That's basically what I have, is a dealer's license in Thailand for used cars. However, when I went to the auction house and said, look, here's my license, they said, yeah, that's cool, but you can't export cars to Thailand. I said, I know, but does that really matter? And they laughed and they said, yes, it really matters. We cannot sell to you. Okay, never mind. So that was the end of that. I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but what I'm going to do next probably is take off all of this AC stuff, pull the heater core hoses off. I've got brand new hoses for that. And pull all this off and just block it off with some cardboard for now. I may or may not get a block off plate. That's $80. And I don't have any sheet metal to just fabricate one right now, so I'll probably just leave it. But I want it off because once you put the inner fenders in, you're not getting it off. So let's go up, take a look at what's going on underneath. Look at that mess. That's gonna all get replaced with the paintless kit once I've got it all put together running, and then tear it down for paint and body. It does have new power brakes. It did not have power brakes when I got it. And if I would have decided to make videos while I was doing these brakes, oh my goodness, you guys, you would have seen what it's like to take off absolutely rusted together parts. You couldn't get it off with heat and a hammer. I ended up buying a 5-ton puller from Harbor Freight. 3 pumps and they were off. Bing! Yeah, it came off real easy with that. All right, well, as you can see, I did a lot of cleaning. Pour 15 on all the frame. You know what I should do? Let me turn on the light that will shine underneath here. We have a nice light up there that I had put in when I had the electric run to the shop. I have electric, but I have no heat or air. There we go. That sucker's bright too. And it helps. All right. That means I need to keep you guys focused in this direction. So, headers. All right. Let's talk about the headers. So the headers, as you can see, this line here for the brakes, I put all new brake lines in, and I went with the preformed brake lines, and then I ended up buying a roll of tube to make my own and fittings and whatnot. But that's the preformed one. And when this is in a position to where the flange is somewhat flat, it is pretty much touching that. So I need to bring this right here back over to the frame by bending it either this way or this way and getting it out of the way so it's not going to boil. On this side, well, we have to do a little clearancing. And of course, this is just mock-up. I look up top and make sure the flange is about where it's going to be, and lo and behold, it touches there. And although this won't be moving, the engine will move slightly, and so some clearancing has to be done. I did a little bit there with the Tanya Harding, the little Tanya Harding, because I didn't want to hurt anything, and I'm going to have to clearance that just a little bit more. Now this is only a coating that will burn off, and once that's burned off, I'll put some VHT paint on there. But they are not coated with ceramic coating or anything fancy like that. These are Hedman headers. They do have a ball joint here rather than just a flange and gasket, which I've never dealt with before, but I see that as manageable. So this is a 2.5 inch outer diameter collector extension. And so 2.5 inch inner diameter will slip right over the top of that and then come along here. And where I have this placed on the lift is where it's going to go. So we're looking at maybe 2 feet, maybe 2 feet. It's going to be just past this hanger here. I have new hangers. It's going to be just past this hanger here where the muffler is going to go. And from here to there is about 2 feet. Now, if you guys are familiar with Engine Masters, they do a lot of exhaust testing. And I'm running smaller tube headers than what they usually use, and probably what was used on the dyno on this. There goes my power steering hoses. Anyway, so yeah, it's a little bit smaller, and what they have determined is that the smaller tubes do rob horsepower, but I'm not racing the thing. The track vet is going to have 4-inch tubes, collectors and side pipes. So that'll be a bit different. It'll have glass pack inserts, I think. We'll see how it does with and without, but that's a project for another day. So yeah, from the collector to the muffler is going to be about 2 feet. It's going to have a hanger here. I might try and put another hanger here. And these are the MagnaFlows that were on the truck when I got it. And they, you know, yeah, they're a little dirty because I did a lot of work while they were still on. But yeah, those MagnaFlows are a little bit heavy, so I'll definitely need at least 1 hanger on both sides, if not 2. But I bought 6 so that I could be creative. Transmission. All right, so the transmission came with a seal that had been ripped out of it in the box. These are dyno tested, so my guess is they took the seal out, threw it in the box just to prove that it was dyno tested, I don't know, and sent it on its way. It does not have a gear in here for speedometer. This is just in here to be out of the way. I did order a block off for that from B&M, so that'll add about 20 or 30 horsepower. Chrome. There you go. Chrome is good, right? Chrome will get you home. No, that's not what they say. But you know, when I first got this transmission, I called the place that I got it, and I won't mention Jag's name, but I said, you know, this thing's got a seal that's been yanked out of it. It's got parts that don't even belong to it in here. It's got a can of line flush. I think I got a used transmission and I don't want that. They said, well, we don't sell used transmissions. If we get one back, we send it back out to be redone. So you do not have a used one. I said, okay. Now, this came in a box with a cardboard bottom and slats like a pallet, right? And I took it out. I sat it on the floor in my shop. As you can see, it is a cement floor. And it was sitting over there next to the Blueprint engine for a year and a half. And once I got it in the truck and then looked underneath here, I realized, look at all this. First of all, the chrome is just peeling right off, okay? That's just crap. And with it being under the truck and it's not a show truck, it's a running around having fun truck, I don't care. However, this has been dropped on rocks or something. All right, this is terrible. And over here, and this thing hasn't moved since I took it out of the crate, and the crate was delivered to my shop and put right there, and I moved it over to here, and it hasn't moved since until a few days ago when I dropped this whole thing in. So I'm not impressed, to be quite honest. And if I had the money to just yank it out and buy one from a reputable transmission retailer, I would. But that's just can't happen, I'm afraid. So there we are. If you're going to buy a rebuilt performance transmission from a speed shop, I'd go pick it up rather than just, I don't know, if you can get to the shop and pick it up, I'm going to say that's the best way to do it. Anyhow, this thing does not have a kick down, vacuum or mechanical or otherwise. It's a manual shift kick down, which is not a problem. No, like I said, no speedometer, so we'll do that. It did come with the rear seal, so we'll put that in and then put the drive shaft in so that I can put transmission fluid in it so that we have fluid in it for the initial startup. And then we can troubleshoot as we need to. So there we go. That's what's happening. I think I need to clearance a little bit more here. I just did a little bit, but as you can see, it needs about maybe another 1/8 of an inch or so, and maybe a little extra. Now you might be saying, man, you dented your tube. That's really going to reduce horsepower. No. I suggest that if that's what you believe, you go watch Engine Masters and look at their dyno testing on tubes that have been, they had the heck beat out of them. I would say they were reducing the flow 50% in some of those tubes. It made no difference at all. So having to clearance your header, okay, and I'm not sure exactly where this thing is going to sit. I was clearancing it before I bolted it up completely because I didn't want to have to undo everything and do the clearancing. It makes no difference whatsoever. In horsepower, makes no difference. So I do have the shield that'll go on here. Got the starter bolted in. We're getting close, guys. We're getting close. So hopefully soon you're going to be seeing this thing in the driveway and not on the lift. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe. And we will come back with another video as I work on all of the things that I just explained that we have to do. And we got to get that done in the next 5 days. Oh well, we'll try. I want to at least start it. I may not be able to drive it, and it may have leaks that I can't get fixed yet, but I want to start it. I got to get this thing started in the next 5 days. That's my goal. All right, everybody, thanks. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of the new subscribers, all of the old subscribers that have stuck with me. We're growing, but if you like and share, that's really going to help us out a lot. And drop a comment. Let me know what you think. If, as I'm walking around showing you all this stuff, if there's something you see that you say, hey, you have to do this, because if you don't, you're going to have a problem, let me know. I don't mind. I really appreciate it if somebody takes the time and says, hey, I see something on here that you really should do a little bit differently. I'm happy to have that information. And I thank you guys very much once again. I appreciate you.